Emergency crews are on the scene of a massive water main break in Brooklyn. Let's go to New York One's Amy Yensi. She just got to the scene in Sunset Park. Good morning, Amy.
Good morning. It truly is a chaotic scene here. As you can see, there is a huge hole in the middle of the intersection here at 5th Avenue and 44th Street. You can see gallons and gallons of brown water gushing from underneath the ground, spilling onto the street. You can also see chunks and chunks of the concrete that broke open during this water main break. It's not clear what caused it, but residents tell us they've been seeing water spilling out of here since 5 in the morning. We saw a police tow truck that's having to move cars that were stationed here overnight and are now in the middle of whatever investigation they have to do. If you come back to me live, you can see that New York City's Department of Environmental Protection is currently trying to break the ground to try to get underneath to stop whatever is causing this water main break. We saw another crew that was trying to go down through an open sewer, but that has proved to be unsuccessful. Police emergency services are here as well, and they've had to push some people back because this is happening in a very busy part of Sunset Park, and people are coming here with their cell phones trying to figure out what exactly is happening. And you can see the water is just spilling onto the street. And if the camera follows me this way, you can see that it's moving from the intersection onto the actual sidewalk. So people are having to walk, ride their bikes, and make it through the water that's spilling onto the sidewalk that's coming from this gushing open hole in the middle of the intersection. Let's walk over to show you a little bit more of what crews are doing. They've opened up that part of the sidewalk. They're trying to stop this from under the ground. It's not clear if the weather, the rainy weather we've been having, has anything to do with this water main break, but as you can see, it'll take a long time to get it under control. The water is not stopping, and there's tons of brown water coming from underneath the ground. We don't know if it'll break even more of this street. Big parts of it are missing. I can tell you a couple feet are open, of the sidewalk is open, and also the intersection. So it's breaking not just the street itself, but the sidewalk. And that's why you saw police push people out of the way, because they're coming here curious, but it's not safe for them to be standing here right now. So we are monitoring the situation on this huge water main break here in Sunset Park, Brooklyn, and whatever we find out, we will bring it to you. That is the very latest. Amy Yensi, New York One, back to you.
And Amy, just stay with us for a minute. I'm just thinking about those first level apartments and also those stores that are right there. Did water get into those?
So I don't know if you can tell the geography here, but this is actually a hill moving upwards to 44th Street, and the force of the water is so strong that it's pushing some of the water up the hill, to the side, all over the place. So they have not been able to contain this. Obviously, first they have to figure out what caused it, and they're in the middle of it. It's the thick of the investigation, so to speak, and there are tons of cars in the way, which are making it very difficult. I don't know if you can see the NYPD is trying to maybe move that car right there. They need to move everything out of the way in order to get down underground and put a stop to this massive water main break that's causing chaos here in Brooklyn this morning.
All right, what a mess. We'll check back. Thanks, Amy.
Thank you.
Emergency crews are on the scene of a massive water main break in Sunset Park, Brooklyn. Let's go to New York One's Amy Yensi. She is there for us. Good morning, Amy.
Good morning, and things have actually gotten worse. Things have actually gotten worse, believe it or not, since the last time I spoke to you, and it was bad back then, but I don't know if you'll be able to see with some of the emergency crews in the way, but behind the gushing water, you can see that the sidewalk has started to also cave in. First, it was the intersection that cracked and sunk in as part of this water main break, but we've been seeing a steady stream of brown water spilling and pouring out of the ground, and at times it even looks like a fountain because there are spurts of water that jump up. The sidewalk is having some severe damage, and you can see pieces of rubble, chunks of the concrete that broke apart when this happened early this morning, as many people were probably even sleeping. And you can see that some of the cars have been moved because police have been trying to get cars out of the way so they can respond. The emergency crews are covered in mud, some of them, because they've been trying to tackle this from every angle, sticking poles down to the sewer to try to stop whatever is causing this. And Andy Torres says he looked out of the window this morning, and at first he didn't see it, but then he saw it. Good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, it was around 6 o'clock in the morning when I looked outside my window on 43rd Street. And water was just pouring down the block, and we didn't know where the source was, but we had to walk down 43rd Street and back up 44th just to see where it was coming from, because our whole block is flooded and blocked off.
And you were telling me about the water in your house.
Right. No, thank God there's nothing in the basement, and a couple of my neighbors.
The water from the
water's
fountain?
coming out brown already. Yeah, it started coming out brown like around 6:30.
From what you can assume, because you saw it earlier in the day, is it getting worse?
No, it's about the same.
About
it
the
was
same?
yeah, but before it was shooting over the sign where it says 44th Street and 5th Avenue. So I'm hoping it's getting better.
So they've been working on it for a while and it's still the same. Does that worry you?
Been working on it since like 5:30. Yeah, I'm a little concerned because as of when I left my house, there was nothing in the basement, but I haven't been able to check for like an hour and a half.
And are you stuck here now?
We don't know yet. I haven't gotten down to 4th Avenue. I'm hoping to see if they could stop it before I go back into my house.
Thank you, Andy. I hope it resolves itself soon. But let's walk back here to show you a little something. So the water main break is happening over there, but the water is spilling onto the sidewalk. And as you can see, she's standing in the way right now, but you can see the stream of water is being pushed in this direction. And a couple minutes ago, we saw police having to position a car on the sidewalk to keep people from walking through it. But people are still walking through it because they're getting up Sunday morning and they have things to do. Now, Andy was telling me off camera that this is a very busy part of Brooklyn, 44th Street, 5th Avenue. And the one ray of light in all of this is that it happened on Sunday and not Monday, when all the students are going to school and people are heading to work. It would have been an even worse situation, but it is still a chaotic scene. Emergency crews, it seems like people just keep getting here. They've been trying to solve this issue for a couple hours and it's not getting much better. You heard that from Andy, who saw it when it first happened. The cause is under investigation. We're keeping a close watch on the situation here, but that is the very latest from here in Brooklyn. Amy Yensi, back to you.
All right, we'll keep checking back with you. Thank you, Amy. Emergency crews are on the scene of a massive water main break in Brooklyn. Let's go to New York One's Amy Yensi. She has been there since the start, and she says it's getting worse. Hi, Amy.
Hi there. Just about every city agency has sent over some emergency crew members, and they still have not been able to stop the water that you see gushing out of the ground. As you can see, the road is destroyed. There are chunks of concrete splattered all over the place. And behind that, you may not even be able to see it because the water is so high, the sidewalk has started to cave in. Now, we've been talking to residents who say they saw this as early as 5 o'clock in the morning. The city's Department of Environmental Protection has been trying to work on the water main break. We've seen police trying to close off the street because people keep coming here to figure out what exactly is going on. They've been sticking poles down into the sewer, but it's not getting any better. And if we walk over here, you can see that the water that's been spilling out from the ground is now pouring onto the sidewalk, and you can see chunks of concrete that have been splattered feet and feet away from the original point of whatever break happened here. And there's also a trash can that was knocked over by the force and pushed by the water that is now streaming down 5th Avenue and 44th Street, affecting a couple of blocks in the area. We've been talking to people who say they looked out the window and they saw the water and they ran outside, but they don't know what caused it. Take a listen.
We're very worried. That's why we've been here since 6 in the morning up here, and they haven't been able to do anything yet. All of my neighbors were out. Those were my neighbors, and thank God the basement's okay, but we're not too sure. All the water's coming out brown now.
Is anything happening in terms of the water inside your homes?
Yes, it's all brown right now.
Now again, the water main break has been going on for a while now, and emergency crews are first trying to stop it and investigate what caused it in the first place. That is the very latest from here in Brooklyn. Amy Yensi, New York One. Back to you.
A massive water main break in Brooklyn leaves streets flooded and a gaping hole in the middle of an intersection. New York One's Amy Yensi is at the scene in Sunset Park now. Amy.
Hi there. The water is still gushing out of the ground. It's been that way for hours. There are pieces of debris scattered all over the place. You can see by looking from behind the police tape here that the water is gushing. There's a huge stream now pushing down on 5th Avenue, which has been completely closed off at this point. Trash cans have been knocked over. And if you see the car, the van actually, there, it looks like a wave from the ocean. That brown water is actually coming out from underneath the ground. Brown water everywhere. I've been talking to a few people out here. Some don't have water in their apartments and in their home. The city's Department of Environmental Protection is on scene. They've been on scene for hours now. They have reopened up a pathway into a sewer. They've been sticking tools down there, trying to put a stoppage on what caused this. It's not clear, but I spoke to one witness who says he noticed it at around 5 in the morning. Take a listen.
I mean, it's a lot of stinking water, man. So I'm not surprised that it has this kind of effect. I mean, we get flooding up here on like a really heavy downpour. So the fact that you have this amount of water coming up all at once, I'm not surprised that we're getting flooding, just because we already generally have issues with that kind of stuff anyways.
Back here, what you're seeing is not a water fountain. This is the aftermath of a water main break on 5th Avenue and 44th Street here in Brooklyn. The Sunset Park neighborhood brought essentially to a standstill because the water continues to gush out of the ground, gallons and gallons of it. Some of the sidewalk has also caved in as emergency crews first tried to stop the situation and then figure out what caused it. That is the very latest from here in Brooklyn. Amy Yensi, sending it back to you.
Quite the scene. Okay, thanks, Amy.